Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. I have a cat now! And to celebrate the occasion, I also bought Mario Maker 2. It came out today, so why the hell not? I'm gonna let the cat outside while I spend some quality time with my brand new game. Yeah, I'll let her back in for food when the game gets its first update.
Let's check out what's in store for the latest update.
Oh shit, the cat! Super Mario Maker was a smash hit that took the world by storm. Or, you know, it would have been, if the Wii U didn't sell less than smallpox. Needless to say, the Wii U didn't set the world on fire, but even still, Super Mario Maker was a big deal. It garnered millions and millions of views across Twitch and YouTube thanks to the abundance of creators playing each other's levels. It made the dreams of so many Mario fans come true by giving them the keys to the kingdom and allowing them to create their very own Mario courses. And it was updated consistently with things that the community had been yearning for. Apart from slopes. After all of this crazy success on such a tiny install base of players, it only made sense that Nintendo would release a sequel on a much more successful platform, and that they would continue to add features to the game that would make it the best game fans could ever ask for, right? You would think. You see, the way Nintendo handled this game was absolutely baffling in my honest opinion. So many things were hinted at but never followed through. There were so many opportunities that Nintendo could have taken but just didn't. And even when they did make great decisions with this game, they were bogged down by either poor execution or poor timing. The way Nintendo handled this game will never cease to confuse and upset me. They absolutely squandered the chance to have a game that sold like absolute mad and was a bigger craze than even the original, and I will never be able to fathom why they did what they did with this game. The tale of Mario Maker 2 is a confusing one, but hey, all stories worth telling are confusing at some times. Have you ever actually played Mario World? Like, what the fuck? Why is he wearing eyeliner? Well, seeing as I've got nothing else going on in my life, today I'm going to break down every single move that Nintendo made with this game, and because I'm really fun, we're going to speculate just how things could have been different if Nintendo had handled things better. Have you ever met a more interesting person? Super Mario Maker 2 was announced in February 2019, and right off the bat, this game looked absolutely amazing. The first thing they revealed for the game was slopes, the most infuriating omission from the first game, the thing that fans had been crying for since the second the game launched. They were finally here in all of their diagonal glory. The trailer then cuts to revealing an absolute boatload of features that looked amazing. Vertical sub-levels, custom screen scroll, new level themes, snake blocks, and on top of that, they revealed a brand new game style, Super Mario 3D World. This felt like such a natural inclusion. 3D World was basically a 2D Mario game with an extra axis, so the transition to creating and playing levels in a 2D space was smooth as all hell. And once again, having this game in 2D didn't feel weird. So everything was looking great, right? What could possibly go wrong? I can think of a few things. You see, after this trailer, more and more information started to come out about the game, and the more we were told, the more certain elements of the game began to look less and less ideal. This trend continued through the release of the game and even beyond, and all of the strange decisions and poor timings culminated in what I call the 5 sins of Super Mario Maker 2. These 5 things by no means break or ruin the game, but when considered as relatively large and baffling parts of the bigger picture of this game, they just ooze missed potential. Before we get into this, I just want to make it abundantly clear. I absolutely love Super Mario Maker 2, and my points today aren't just to shit on the game. No. I'm merely discussing things that could have made it less fucking abysmal. Let's take a look at sin number 1. As previously mentioned, Super Mario 3D World was added as a brand new theme in Mario Maker 2, which was amazing! This game was a perfect fit for the 2D Mario Maker creation format. Sure, the original game was 3D, the title doesn't lie, but to a certain extent it does. 3D World was the most linear 3D Mario game. It and its predecessor feel more so like New Super Mario Bros. Games with an extra axis. So transitioning the gameplay into a 2D space felt natural, and doing this would have made it easy to have this style transition flawlessly over to another style. You make a level in Mario 1, switch to Mario 3, boom, seamless. It was gonna be the same shtick with 3D World, right Nintendo? Of course it didn't work this way. That would have been too user-friendly. Nintendo needed to fill their monthly quota of fucking everything up. Why is this an issue? I mean, sure, things like the cat power-up probably wouldn't have worked in the original Mario Bros. Style. And really, neither would the clear pipes. On paper, this all makes perfect sense. On paper. But now let's look at the new Super Mario Bros. U style. We have the ground pound and the wall jump, moves that simply can't be used in any of the other styles. And we have the propeller mushroom, a power-up that can change the design of a level immensely. Sure, Mario 3 and Mario World have their own flying power-up equivalents, the raccoon suit and feather respectively, but Mario 1 has no such thing. So tell me, why can I change a propeller suit focused new Super Mario Bros. U level to be a Mario 1 level, but I can't change any 3D World level to be any other style? It just doesn't make sense. It also works the other way around. If you make a level in Mario World and want to switch it to 3D World, the game kindly asks you to go f*** yourself. Nintendo went through all the effort of transitioning 3D World into a 2D format, only to not even allow you to freely change levels you've made into or out of that style. Which then begs the question, why bother turning 3D World 2D? If the 3D World theme was going to be completely incompatible with the others anyway, would it really have been much harder to make a 3D level creator? It's not as if 3D World wouldn't have worked in a more simplistic tile-based format. The Captain Toad levels in that game make this abundantly clear. It would have taken some work, absolutely, and it would probably have to be a bit more simplistic than the 2D version we ended up getting, but it would have made a whole lot more sense than what they did. I also feel like having the option to create 3D levels would have been a much bigger selling point than the 2D 3D World theme, and it probably would have made the entire game a much more creatively satisfying experience. But as it stands, we commit to making levels in 3D World, or we commit to simply not doing that. Whichever way you slice it, people will gravitate to one or the other and use it primarily, whilst not even giving the other one a chance. I've personally made at least one level in every game style, but it wouldn't surprise me if people went with 3D World and didn't even bother with the others because of the more enticing features, or went with the others and just shouldered through not having those features because they had more freedom in terms of aesthetics. No matter the outcome, by not committing to either making 3D World fully compatible or making a 3D level creator, Nintendo put players in something of a no-win situation, and with a problem that could have been relatively simple to circumnavigate, this is a blunder of the creation aspect of the game that simply did not need to be there. Super Mario Maker on Wii U was a purely single-player experience. You could play levels created by other players, but you could only tackle them alone. So needless to say, when the Mario Maker 2 Direct announced local and online multiplayer, well, that was a good day for the human race. The timing of this was pretty confusing though. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe released just a couple of months earlier, but that game only had the local play that the series has boasted since the Wii entry. It just never made sense to me why, instead of adding online play to a game they knew the ins and outs of in terms of level design and functionality, Nintendo would elect to add online play to a game where they have absolutely no idea how the levels will play, if they're even well suited for multiplayer, and that they have absolutely no control over. It would have made so much more sense to have this feature in U Deluxe, but on the bright side, playing levels that aren't necessarily built for multiplayer has the potential to be ridiculous amounts of fun if you're playing them online with friends. Right, Nintendo? Whenever Nintendo was asked if you could play this game with friends online, they basically said, friends are overrated anyway, who needs them when you can be ranked on an inconsequential leaderboard? That's great! Okay, first of all, the online leaderboard. Fucking pointless. It's hardly a secret that a lot of users either A, legitimately don't know how to make decent levels, meaning they're either unknowingly easy or agonizingly difficult, or B, people make shitty troll levels intentionally just to be dicks. The amount of fair levels is pitifully low in this game, so why even bother competing for a ranking? And to have that be the only reason Nintendo was giving for the lack of multiplayer with friends is laughably stupid. Playing levels that players around the world have created is a fantastic idea, and playing them with friends is kind of the whole point of multiplayer. The feature isn't nearly as enticing when you can only play with strangers. So the game launched with no online play with friends, and the world moved on. And then in October, when everyone stopped giving a piss, Nintendo added the feature in. That's gonna be my Halloween costume this year. What the f*** took them so long? Look, I appreciate that Nintendo went back and realized, oh god, we f***ed up. Multiplayer with friends is a great feature, but it was kind of too little too late. How did it take them 4 months to add a feature that Super Smash Bros. Brawl in 2008 had? I refuse to believe that the implementation took that long. It feels like Nintendo was just stubbornly sticking to their guns until someone higher up burst into the door screaming, I've had enough of this! And the Smash Brawl comparisons don't end there. No. But to illustrate what I mean by this, let's jump into an online game. Splatoon 2, a beautiful, fully 3D shooter with 8 players that sees ink flying all over the screen with an abundance of complex mechanics in any given match, runs flawlessly online. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a stunning 3D kart racer with 12 players, breakneck speeds, and a smorgasbord of items on screen constantly, runs almost perfectly online. Super Mario Maker 2, which need I remind you can literally have NES graphics, and sees podgy Italian man go left, right, up and down, runs like piss! I know Nintendo's online is notoriously pretty bad, but this is appalling. There's no way that this game is that taxing. The way I see it, there's absolutely no excuse for the game to run as poorly as it does online. For all I know, there is a legitimate reason that the game runs how it does, but given the comparatively sublime performance of other Switch games, I can't really see that being the case. The abundance of games that run like slideshows turns online multiplayer from the greatest thing Nintendo added to the game into a massive disappointment that I don't even bother with anymore. When given the ability to create levels in Mario 3, World, and U, the original Super Mario Bros. Theme isn't really the most enticing thing in the world, and Nintendo knew this. To counteract that fact, Nintendo added Amiibo Costumes exclusively to that theme in the Wii U version, and this was amazing! But I think you can see where this is going. Nintendo neglected to bring this feature over to the sequel, and I really don't understand why. I guess you could make the argument that there's far too many fucking Amiibo at this point that they couldn't support every single one of them. Nobody asked them to support every single one of them. Nintendo consistently added costumes to the original for years, so even if theoretically they couldn't support every single amiibo in 2, they already had 153 from the original game. Most of the work was already done. Hell, they didn't even need to add any more costumes considering the amount they already had, and the fact that amiibo weren't required to unlock them, and some event characters weren't even related to existing or future amiibo. So now I have to live in a world where I can't make a chibi robo level in Mario Maker 2. Truly a fate worse than death. Now, to be fair, there was a Super Mario Land power-up in the base game, which was kind of but not really a worthy alternative to the costumes. It gave you the Super Ball ability from that game, and it was actually pretty cool. Nintendo also added 2 more costumes in retroactively through updates. Speaking of which... if you ask me, updates are a natural thing for a game like Super Mario Maker 2, and they can have a massive impact on the overall quality of the game. The first update came our way on October 1st, 2019, adding online multiplayer with friends and absolutely nothing else. Fan-fucking-tastic. What's next? Only 2 months later, the first full update was released, version 2.0 on December 5th. What did this one add? Well, the bulk of the update was new course elements. Finally something to give a shit about. This is the best possible way to update this game. Add new elements that can completely alter the way people tackle level creation, and this update finally did that. Most of the new elements were winter themed, and this was pretty cool. Lots of new snowy items just in time for all of the Christmas levels that people were inevitably going to make. Nintendo, you done good. There was also a brand new mode, Ninja Speedruns. They added that? I completely forgot that they added this mode. Either it's short-term memory loss, or this mode wasn't the most memorable thing out there. Either it's short-term memory loss, or... alright, even though I forgot this mode ever happened within weeks of it releasing, I've got to be honest. This thing was a blast. The basic concept was that Nintendo would send out levels every couple of weeks, and you just had to get to the end as quickly as possible. Seems pretty simple, but every other person that has played the level shows up as a ninja, and you're competing directly against their records for the top spot. Not only did this encourage competition in a much better way than the stupid fucking leaderboards, but it also acknowledged the speedrunning community by essentially creating a mode just for them. I'm not a speedrunner by any stretch of the imagination, but this mode is some of the most fun I've had with this game. But when you stop playing, it's kind of hard to get back into, sadly. But by far the biggest addition of this update was...
this! Introducing the Master Sword power-up.
The Master Sword item brought back the Link costume from the original game and added an entire moveset to it. This is perfect. This was the best way they could have handled bringing back a costume from the original game. The new moveset Link had was incredibly fun and interesting. It brought about so many options for level creation and theming, and it had the potential to expand beyond just Link and make Mario Maker 2 one of the greatest games Nintendo has ever made. Being so optimistic can be soul-crushing. I should try hating shit more often. The third update, version 3.0, came to us on April 22nd, 2020 and added... so goddamn much! The Koopalings, 14 acres worth of power-ups, Mecha Koopas, and the Super Mario Bros. 2 power-up. This one was certainly divisive. So many people were gunning for this game to get its own theme. Oh, we'll get to that, don't worry. But when you think about it, It makes a lot of sense. While it's true there's a lot of unique things about Mario 2 that would warrant a full theme, the moveset given to the power-up is a great representation of the game, and is a decent alternative to a full theme. I said it was decent, not preferable. The final thing that arrived in this update was... You've already waited 113 days for my opinion on this, I'm sure a couple hundred more seconds can't hurt. But the next thing Nintendo added to the game eclipses anything else. They added... nothing. Yup, you heard me right. There were only 3 updates for this game. But Rawk, you might be saying, there's still a chance that Nintendo could update this game in the future. After all, it's only been a year and a half. And you're right, it has only been a year and a half. And at the time of update 3.0, it hadn't even been a year. Which makes the fact that they labeled this as the final update so much more infuriating. There was so much more that Nintendo could have added to this game. They could have added more costumes like Samus or Kirby, or for the love of all things holy, Chibi Robo. They could have added more course elements, and for Christ's sake they could have added a new style. The extra game styles tab looks sad and lonely. The title is plural and yet there's only one game that's awkwardly off to the left with room for another, but Nintendo never added one and never will add one. What was the point? Every single update brought things that just ooze potential. The costumes, the new modes, fucking Worldmaker. The game could have been so much more than it was. But Nintendo didn't take the leap with any of these things. They chose to simply add something and move on, despite the fact that expanding upon these ideas could have been amazing. Nintendo, you make bad choices. Well, I think now's as good a time as any to move on to the final sin of Super Mario Maker 2. A sin that encompasses all other disappointing elements that I've talked about thus far. A sin that is unforgivable. What the f*** was going on here? They added online play with friends after initially saying they wouldn't include it. That's great! 4 months after the game released, when everyone had stopped giving a shit about that feature. They added the Link power-up with its own moveset in the first major update, which opened the door for so many more in the future. That's amazing! They didn't add a single other one, son of a bitch. And then Worldmaker. Oh boy. Worldmaker is the best thing that has ever happened to 2D Mario, and I mean that. Being able to make our own levels is incredible all by itself, but now we can string 40 of them together into 8 worlds, allowing us to make our own entire Mario games. That is amazing. This isn't a feature that I ever thought Nintendo would give us, because let's be honest, this completely devalues any future 2D Mario. There are no doubt thousands of full Mario campaigns online right now, and considering it came out quite a while after launch, the only people using this feature will be talented level designers who genuinely want to make great levels. There's some damn quality stuff out there, to the extent that this mode alone could keep giving you new experiences for years. And you'd better fucking hope that's the case, because there isn't anything else coming. Yeah, Worldmaker is an absolutely phenomenal mode, but it was kind of overshadowed by the disappointment of this being the final update to the game. It definitely took a lot of wind out of its sails, and had it came earlier, this mode probably would have garnered a lot more attention. By now the 5 sins of Super Mario Maker 2 have been covered quite thoroughly, but what if we were in an ideal world where none of this had have happened? Well, I'm glad I asked. Because I haven't bitched enough today, I'm going to finish the discussion by talking about how things could have been different if Nintendo did the unthinkable. Not this. As of December 31st, 2020, Super Mario Maker 2 has sold nearly 7 million units, which is nothing to sneeze at, don't get me wrong, but when you look at that beside the combined sales of the Wii U and 3DS versions of the first game, that number seems a little low. The original game was an absolute phenomenon, and I think more than a few of us expected the same to be true for the sequel. If the Wii U version alone sold nearly 5 million units on the console's microscopic install base, I think it was reasonable to assume the sequel would double it, given that the Switch's install base absolutely dwarfs the Wii U's. The accessibility of the Switch, the multiplayer features, and the fact that Twitch and YouTube were even bigger than they were in 2015. It really seemed like 2 was going to be a substantially bigger deal than the original. But the question that's been on my mind for almost a year now is, could things have been different if some of these updates were available at launch? The biggest thing is, of course, Worldmaker, the update that came out almost a year after launch. The mode is incredible, yes, but did it massively impact sales? I feel like most of the people who wanted to play Mario Maker 2 already had the game by then. If this mode was included in the game at launch, alongside 3D World and the new story mode, I feel like this game would have made a much bigger splash. Like, think about it. The marketing push could have been insane. Knowing that you could create the most advanced levels we've seen so far, and that you could create a full 40 level game out of them, this game would have sold 10 10 million units in a matter of months, I guarantee it. So many more people would have used the feature, and I feel like it would have kept the game alive for a lot longer because creating a full game is a lot more enticing than creating a single level. Admittedly, there's an argument to be made that it could be slightly more intimidating than the isolated experience of making one level. You don't have to use Worldmaker. The 5 sins of Super Mario Maker 2. They will always upset me. Once again, they don't ruin the game by any means. It's still fantastic and miles above the original. But I can't help but think about how things could have been different. The only reason these things are so disappointing is because I wanted this game to be the best it could be. I wanted to see it soar to the top of the sales charts because it's an amazing game and its concept is so unbelievably unique. But as it stands, everything I've just talked about leaves Super Mario Maker 2 as just a game that could have done better. And that's pretty disappointing. The game did well, sure, but not as well as it could have. Ah well, I can at least be grateful that the game got features like Worldmaker at all, and I can also be grateful for my new replacement cat and my brand new copy of Pikmin 3 Deluxe! But I'm not going to make the same mistake with this cat. I'm only going to wait until the next mainline Pikmin releases. I really need to rethink my approach to parenthood.